today we are reviewing the Master from the Strain, and it's a Funko Pop. And most of you, if you're new, you don't know this, and if you're new, do subscribe and check out our other spooky playlists. I'm Morticia, and Gomez is going to be talking about the figure and showing you, so hello. And, but yeah, this is the Master from the Strain, and I haven't found another action figure of him, so I don't generally get Funko Pops, but this is the only thing that exists of him, and he looks so cool. Funko actually did a good job on this, so for me to say I like a Funko Pop, it's an awesome pop. So if you normally like Funko Pops, you'll go crazy for it. And if you don't, then it's still cool, so you would like it anyway. This is like the perfect pop. One of the more perfect Funko Pops that they still managed to make look awesome, even with the kind of squared head, so.
So, here on the box they show us several characters that show up in that series. One of them is Dr. Ephraim Goodweather, which is the main character of the series Strain, who seems to be a mixture himself of almost Van Helsing and Bulwer from the movie and the novel, but he is like a scientist who also does a lot of action. Then we have Abraham Satrakian, who has Polish roots in this version, but is clearly Abraham Van Helsing.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I totally got that when I first started watching it. And that's not a big spoiler. If you guys haven't seen the Strain, it's not a big deal. I mean, we're not giving major spoilers. But he seems like their version of Van Helsing.
And then we have Vaughn, also from the Strain, and then the Master himself,
who is obviously kind of a play on Dracula, or Nosferatu, who was obviously also a play on Dracula. He's got a lot more of a Nosferatu feel, and Nosferatu was a scary, scary mofo, so I think that that was a good choice. And obviously he's got the packaging, is, you know, where you can take him out and put him back, so the box is easy to, if people like to keep them in the box as collectors and want to take him out so you actually get the full view, then you can easily do both, so that's cool. He was a really good price, like $8 online on eBay with free shipping, so that's great. And as many reviewers have said when I checked out the reviews on Amazon before I got him, he's a solid, heavy pop. Da, 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 da.
Here he pops.
He's a lot bigger than other pops. Maybe a little taller, but definitely wider and thicker, which is cool. He's not going to fall over due to the big head because he's got the big full robes. He makes like a nice paperweight or something. Very cool. And you can see the square look more on the head in the very back, I think, than the front, because there's so much facial detail going on that it's hard to make it as square. They did really well with him. And again, I just don't get the appeal of the square head, but with him it's not as noticeable, and they just did so well. Those pointed bat ears and that face, and like, he's got such detail even down to the rings on his hands. And the claws.
Yes, the rings are really good. Many of them seem like silver insignia, signets, and one of them is reddish like garnet or for blood. His eyes also seem to match one of the rings because they have that reddish undertone. And his teeth seem to be sharper than many vampires have, like where they're more pointed and sharpened. And his nostrils are also primitive, so you have this flair of an older character.
Yeah, the Nosferatu feel.
Yeah.
And the nostrils, you know, can even look almost skeletal or like a little pumpkin, depending on how you're looking at it. Like,
yes.
So cute, and he's got like the claws on his hands. And he does not move at all. A lot of the Funkos, you can turn their heads, and they didn't make his head turnable, which makes sense because of the high collar. I always think it's funny and silly when action figure makers make it where you can theoretically move them, but then their clothes kind of stop that from happening. So, you know, Funko had a good call on this, just don't even bother. So he is not posable, but he looks so bloody amazing that he doesn't need to be. You can even see where he has a hood in the back of his cloak, but it's not being used, obviously, but it's like the detail is there. That it is there hanging down in the back, and the cloak goes all the way to the ground, or the robe, or whatever it's supposed to be. It seems like a robe, I guess. It goes all the way around in the front and stuff, so
it's beautifully decorated on the collar. Here it has some patterns, that remind me a little bit of warm scrolling, which would be appropriate for a vampire. Overall, the color scheme is sort of brownish earthly colors, again seems appropriate for the character. His hands are gray-green colored, also showing signs of decay while still having their strength. So very nicely arranged, I think.
Kind of a different take on vampirism because they don't usually decay. But again, the strain kind of reminds me of the way they make a modern kind of zombie movie where it's an infection. But they did it with vampirism, and I like vampires better, so like zombies just don't do it for me. So it's kind of interesting. It's not my favorite vampire series, but it's good, it's interesting, it's different. It's worth watching. I would say like it's a one-time watch or read where I wouldn't like redo it over and over or anything, but it's interesting, and some of the characters are really cool and compelling. Master is also called Sariel, which is another word for master, so sounds like a name, but it just means master again.
Yes, it has Hebrew and Aramaic roots. The root is sarar, which means to control, to rule over. We find a similar root in the familiar name Sarah, and possibly in the original Egyptian word for the god Osiris. Before Plutarch introduced him as Osiris in the Greek version, his real name was Asar, which could also mean the lord of the underworld type of thing. So Sariel is suitable. In the Gnostic scriptures, he is also described as an angel of power usually, but sometimes as the angel who is in charge of all the fallen watchers, so that seems appropriate for the master again, where he is a fallen angel of sorts, and he has power. He was invoked for protection in Babylon and other places, so it's very interesting. He has long history and a well-chosen name, I think.
Yeah, very well done on the part of the creator there, an author. And it's kind of cool because I think there's 7 of them, 7 of the masters, and he's supposed to be the master of New York, where I want to go live eventually. So we'll like hang out with him or something. He looks like a cool person to hang out with. I'm sure he'd have interesting stuff to talk about. So yeah, I love the balance, the detail. I mean, like I've heard people, say Funko has done better or worse jobs depending on the figure, and I've seen that. So this is really, really good. Like this might be my favorite Funko, even though I love Freddy and like I love Jack Skellington as the Pumpkin King that they did that we reviewed a while back. So it's up there with Jack, definitely. So yeah, it's a really good figure. Highly recommended even by a non-Funko fan for all intents and purposes. So it's excellent. Even if you didn't watch the strain, look at him. I mean, he's scary. He's cool looking.
Yes.
And I like that. I pick up figures sometimes that, and Gomez does too, that we don't even know who it is or where it's from. It just looks awesome and stimulates the imagination and it makes good decor. So, even if I hadn't watched the strain, which we did, he would have still probably gotten my attention. It's just a cool figure, which says a lot for him. So I think we've covered all his details. Oh, he looks like, I don't know what that is. It's a bow tie, but it kind of reminds me of a little bat bow tie that he has on, which I like as an extra touch. It's just like, it just puts me in mind. So
this is the bow tie. It matches in color again, his color and the overall cloak.
Maybe it's a pin or a bow tie. It's under the chin like a bow tie, so I don't know.
Yes, I brought it closer. Now we can see his face. See? The bow tie is facey.
Looks like a little bat to me.
Yes.
So I like that. It's very cool. And he is a very solid, nice figure. Does not fall over and anything. He makes great desk decor wherever you want to put him. So, I like that. And I don't think they didn't charge more for him because he's bigger and heavier. So that was nice. Funko is definitely very affordable. So I give them that. And everything about him seems bigger. Like his hands and everything are bigger than all my other Funko Pop hands and whatnot. So yeah, he's a nice, chunky, well done figure. And so we hope you've enjoyed this review. And until next time,
stay spooky, my friends.